Okay, everyone, happy Monday. We're going to get started here. So, today we're going to talk about the art of negotiating and overcoming objections, winning without sacrificing your client. The best negotiators don't win every point, they win the outcome. So, what's the biggest negotiation mistake new agents make? What do you guys think? Say it louder.
Commission.
What does everybody else think?
Just taking no, the first no as in a no. Because sometimes, especially when I first got my license, I'd be like, oh, I'm in real estate. They're like, oh, well, I'm not looking. I'm like, oh, okay, well, bye.
Mm-hmm.
Running back to your listing client with a crazy low offer.
Or worse, going with just letting them walk all over you with a super high list price that's just going to sit there.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I think the biggest negotiation mistake for me was taking the first no.
Hmm. That is a big one. Or maybe I know when I was starting out, when I'd cold call like FISBOs or expired listings, I get so afraid of constantly hearing no and getting yelled at that it kept me from making the calls at all. Anybody else before I switch slides? All right. So, what are we really negotiating? Most agents think they're negotiating price, but in reality, we're negotiating motivation, fear, maybe it's timing, convenience. I think that's a big one. Confidence, risk, and emotions. Which of these do you think influences buyers and sellers the most?
Emotions.
Emotions. I saw something the other day. Emotions shouldn't, though. Like emotions get the best of people and they put them out there first, but then this is negotiating shouldn't be emotional. It should be strategic and it should be factual, right? Anybody else have any that they think affects them the most for buyers and sellers?
I think timing.
I think like timing can go along with like motivation too. If they have somebody somewhere else they need to be, right? Like maybe they're moving for work or something like that. So it's our job to find the real objection. Treat every objection like an iceberg. The real issue is usually what's underneath, right? So, for an example, I need to think about it. This could actually mean I'm scared. I don't trust you or your numbers. Maybe the spouse isn't convinced. I have one of those right now. She's ready to move to Virginia, and he says, we'll get there when the time's right. And she's ready to go now, right? But he's like, we'll get there 5 years. I don't know. So trying to get both of them on board. I don't understand the process fully. I think that's a big one. Educating them is a huge part of this so that they understand what the process looks like. Or maybe they're just afraid to make a mistake. But it's important to ask before you answer. Instead of solving things immediately, or ask questions, right? So we should talk. There's a reason we have two eyes and one mouth. Listen twice. No, two ears. That's it. My bad. Two ears and one mouth. Listen twice and talk once, right? So ask questions like, what makes you feel this way? Can you tell me more? What would need to change for you to feel comfortable? Right? Right there. Like if it's a pricing thing, you're gonna find that out right there. or what concerns you most. All those motivation, timing, emotions, all of those things that we were just talking about are going to start to show themselves when you're asking more questions. So you may not know which of those things is causing the problem, but if you start asking the questions, they're going to just come right out and tell you. But negotiating beyond price, price isn't the only bargaining chip, right? I think that this is very important to understand. Like when you're writing offers, especially, price is not always the biggest thing that gets the offer won. I've been shocked that I've been working with sellers and they'll take a lower offer because of one of these things. Or, I've had the call on the other side where I get the call from as a buyer's agent and say, your offer was accepted, even though, it didn't have this or this or this. And the reason's usually in these things. You can negotiate the settlement date. First of all, communication is key. So as soon as I'm done showing a house and my clients are like, absolutely, I love this, I make a phone call to the agent. And right away, I ask several important questions. Question number one, do you have any other offers, right? No brainer. We want to see if there's a deadline or something. Second question is the seller offering compensation? If But this conversation goes right into where do you want that, right? So is it going to be on the CVC or whatever form you use in Maryland? Mike, I got you. Or is it going to be right on the agreement? Um, because that's an important question because you're going to have a full offer when you send it over. It's exactly where they want it, right? But I've started adding in, are there any points that the seller would really like to see on this offer, right? Because settlement date could be a big one. Maybe they're waiting and have to be out by like a certain date because of their settlement for their new house. Or maybe they're going on vacation. It's summer. I've had a lot of them say, can we do it after this date because my client's going on vacation? So settlement date can be a big deal. This is also where they're going to talk about possession. Maybe they're going to be out and maybe your client needs some pre-settlement possession or post-settlement. Maybe they need the proceeds from this property to move into their next one. So they need to stay there for like a week to make sure they get everything out. Um, on the buyer's side, you've got seller assistance. Offers that don't have any seller assistance typically are more desirable than ones that do. It might have a higher offer price, but when you take into consideration the seller assistance, they might net less. Home warranties, we don't see a lot of those right now in the offer writing portion. I've seen some markets, I've been around long enough to see markets where sellers are like, yep, offering a home warranty, buy my house. When it's a strong buyer's market. But in this, it's more like a negotiating piece during like home inspections and things like that. Um, Appraisal gap coverage, that's a big one. If you're escalating and it's a higher price, right? Price isn't the only bargaining chip. If there's no appraisal gap coverage, but there's an appraisal contingency because it's FHA, are you really getting that higher price? Or are you going to have to cut it back down later? Sometimes it's rate buy down, repairs, like I said, escalation clause, and closing costs. I've seen everything from sellers saying, hey, we'll pay both sides of the transfer tax just so you buy our house in a very strong buyer's market, all the way to a very strong seller's market where the buyers are saying, we'll pay your transfer taxes and give you a year of free ice cream, right? I've seen it all. So super fun stuff. Name three things that you think are worth more than $5,000 to a seller. Anybody?
It could
What's
certainly
wrong?
be settlement date if they need to stay.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Seller assist.
Yeah. Seller assistance. Yep. Krista is deciding to talk like a mouse again. I don't know why.
Monday.
One more.
Closing cost.
Sure. Yeah. I was trying to keep you guys engaged, asking lots of participation questions in here. All right. There's a psychology to negotiating. People make decisions emotionally, then justify them logically. Like you guys were talking earlier, emotions definitely come into it, especially at first. When people will see those initial offers or initial feedback or something, emotions always take over first. And then they justify them with logic. Your job is to reduce stress, increase certainty, build confidence, never argue, and always educate. Again, listen, let them be emotional, let them get it out. And then when logic starts to come into play, educate them on why. I had one recently where um, the offers came in over the weekend after having it on the market. And well, it kind of started with the list price. Had the house appraised, and it appraised, let's say, for example, 450. Um, do you list it at the appraised price? What do you guys think? Would you list it at the price it appraised for?
A little bit below.
What's that?
I said a little below.
Yeah. Why is that? Why do you think?
Because then you have built-in equity and you can use that as a marketing tool.
Yeah. Another thing is, in this market, a lot of offers come in over asking price. And why are we going to stress over the appraisal? So I had another one where it was appraised on the buyer side. Okay. It was appraised and they listed it at that price. So, of course, offers came in over that price. And then the agent says, why are you writing over this appraised at this amount? Well, you didn't disclose that. So it ended up getting cut. And then they were like, oh, no, we're not taking less because yeah, this is what we listed at. I mean, it's stupid, right? So you don't do that because you're just going to face a problem down the line. So I tried to explain this to my sellers, listed it. So like if the appraised price was 450, listed it for 445. So then offers come in and they're all at 445. And they're freaking out. Well, it appraised at 450 and this is exactly what happened. You should have listed it like that and they're freaking out. So I let them freak out for a little bit, but then explained that all the feedback, 17 showings, all showed the same thing, that the price was just right. There were things that weren't featured in the appraisal, like it smelled like cigarette and cat in there. There was some other issues. It was outdated. Like there's stuff, right? And I started showing them that, educating them, not arguing, but just showing them and saying, look, building that confidence of we're through the first weekend. These are the best offers we're going to get, and we need to work with what we have, you know? So sometimes it gets emotional, but it's your job to just calm them down, reduce the stress, and just work through it. But you can use the care method. C is for clarity. So what do you mean by that? Get clarity on what they're feeling. And this kind of works both ways, like with buyers and with sellers. Acknowledge them. I completely understand why you'd feel that way. Respond, offer education, explain options, provide facts, and empower. Give them confidence to decide with no pressure. So I say this works like for buyers and sellers. This works at all different parts of the process. Like whether you're talking about the list price, or you're going over offers and trying to negotiate, or all the way to negotiating during like home inspections where things get tough, right? You're able to do this. And one of the things that I've always done when it comes to responding and offering education, explaining options, providing facts, is if you know you have something unknown that could cost a lot. On like, let's say the home inspection comes back and it needs waterproofing in the basement. rather than just responding to the buyer's reply to inspections with, we want you to waterproof the basement. Call and get quotes from different companies, do a little more homework on it, and then give them options, three different quotes, maybe. Provide facts. This is how much it's going to cost. I think that if you approach it like that and just give them like a full picture, it definitely works out better. And that happens, in all these steps. Like if we're talking about negotiating the listing price, come prepared with your CMAs. Explain exactly why you feel the house should be priced this way rather than the $40,000 more that they want. Same with offers. If you're writing an offer with a buyer and the buyer wants to lowball them, again, come prepared with the CMAs. Bring them to the buyer and say, look, these are the houses that just sold by this. This is what everybody else is able to see, and this is showing that the price is right and that you're going to miss out on this home that's perfect for you because you're just not willing to pay what everybody else is willing to pay for it. And it's okay to say that if you have the facts to back it up. You're not lying. It's educating your client. Obviously, we're always looking out for their best interest and saving the money, but there's going to come a point where they're going to miss out on really good opportunities. And it's your job to educate them on that. That way, 4 months from now, when they realize, oh crap, I really missed out on 123 Main Street. I should have done that, like you said. You at least are covering your grounds to say, well, that's exactly what I told you. All right, now it's time for you guys to get in here. So, advanced objection number 1, buyer, I'm waiting for the rates to come down. How do you guys respond? This is for points, by the way.
You can earn points by responding.
You could miss a lot of opportunities if you're waiting for interest rates to come down. Why don't we talk about getting the seller to help you buy down the interest rate?
Yeah. Anybody else?
What if they go up?
Yeah. What if they go up? You guys ever hear the statement, marry the house, date the rate? You can always refinance.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
Offer to give them a cost sheet so you can break it down for them and show them that they might not be as far off as they think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What happens to the market when the rates do drop?
more buyers flooding.
Prices
Mhm.
go up.
Yep, prices go up. Supply and demand. There's more buyers.
Competition.
Yep, very, very real stuff. I've seen it all. So definitely like talk about, that nobody can predict rates. Lower rates create more competition, but you can always refinance. You can't refinance purchase price. You can refinance rate, right? All right. Question number 2. I used online because this is recorded and going on YouTube. My online home value says my home is worth $40,000 more. How do you respond without insulting them? We get this one all the time.
There's a lot of different factors that go in it. They don't see the inside, they don't see the condition, they don't see the repairs and addition that they did. They only see what has sold around them, and they don't take as much into consideration like we do whenever we run our CMAs.
Could you hear her?
It was a little hard to hear.
Okay. So basically, she said that those online estimates don't see the inside of the home. And they only see what the houses around them sold for and are using numbers to calculate that. Whereas there's a lot more that goes into it, right? Like condition, smell. Smell is a
Also those online places pull their information from the MLS, and a lot of times it might be outdated or it might be wrong, whatever the case may be.
An algorithm.
All right, yeah. So you've acknowledged them and you've explained the automated valuations and how they work. What do you do next?
Show them your CMA, why you priced it that way.
Hmm? No, you're good. She said, show them your show them your comparable sales. It's hard for me to keep track. Who was talking in Hanover?
Not me.
For which question?
I don't know. Somebody talked that I didn't give credit to.
It was
Never
probably
mind.
me. It was for the CMA or the
What did we say?
I don't even remember now. Oh, like the net sheet, the cost sheet. I said that.
Okay.
So I won't get,
Tabitha.
yeah,
Tabitha.
I will get credit for that one.
Okay. I'm just making sure because I didn't see a face, so I figured it was you, but I didn't want to be wrong and miss somebody. It's hard without my Kim to keep score. Typically, I could just talk and it's fine. All right. Number 3, buyer says, I know I have the money for closing costs, but I still want to ask for 6% seller's assistance. We have seen this one. This is so real.
But it got accepted.
That time, I've seen it more than just that time. It has. But what advice should you give?
Talk to them like they're on the listing side and ask them if they would accept that offer if it came through.
Yeah. Could you hear her that time? She was pretty loud.
Yes,
Yeah, she was.
that was a
Good.
confident answer.
I like it. It's because she's lived through this. She's lived through this. This could be why, like, this was not the original example I was going to use, and I changed it halfway through because I have seen this with multiple of my mentees, not just Krista, where they have somebody who has plenty of money in the bank, but knows that seller's assistance exists, and they're like, yeah, let's hit them with it all. So, what about explaining the risks? Right? Explaining that they can ask for it, but it's going to make their offer weaker, right? Because you're looking at overall net and break that down for them. Show them how much that comes off the purchase price. I've said before months ago, so I'll say it again because now we're recording. When I talk to buyers at the consultation, and once they've had their pre-approval and I see that they need seller's assist, again, need seller's assist, we have that difficult conversation right off the bat that we need to be looking at houses that we can budget that into, right? We're not going to, they don't ever have the option for a house that like just came on the market to offer 10,000 under asking price and ask for 6% seller help. Like I'm not writing that. It's not in their best interest. It's wasting everybody's time, including theirs. And I just explained that, present alternatives, right? So look at homes that have been on the market maybe for a bit and have some wiggle room, right? Or go into it knowing, like, let's say the house is 250. Well, we'll just say 200. I like even numbers because if I'm going to math this, we're going to have a nice even number. So at 200,000, correct me if I'm wrong, this is 12, no, 24,000. $24,000? Yes. At 200,000, that's $24,000. That is a lot of money off the top. So if a house is listed at 200,000, maybe offer 225,000 to offset the seller's assistance if it will appraise. Again, double check comps, try to prevent there from being an issue down the road with the appraisal. You have to consider a lot of things. Um, but never make that decision for them though. You can guide them and you can tell them the risks, but at the same time, ultimately, it is their decision what offer they write, right? And then document your recommendations. So send over that email that says, you know, as per our last discussion, this is what I advise. What do you want to do? And have that in writing. All right. So here's one, not for points, but we're just gonna play it out. Complex negotiation scenarios, role playing time. So the scenario is your buyer's FHA. There are three other offers. One's conventional, one waived inspections, one offered an appraisal gap coverage. Your buyer only has 3% down. How do you make your offer stand out?
I know wasn't like a negotiation point, but sometimes if you put a bigger earnest money deposit in or make your deposit less than like 5 days, like you'll put it in 2 days, within 2 days, that can be one that's
Yeah,
you can stand
definitely.
out a little bit more.
Increasing the deposit. So if they have 3% down, put in a good chunk of that as your deposit and make it due in 2 days, 3 days, whatever.
As long as you think it's going to appraise correctly, you could offer more.
Yep, definitely can. I'm gonna stick by one that I think I will always die on this hill, always, because I've seen it so many times. Have a full offer with every single thing done correctly on all the right forms and send it over in single PDFs, not a dot loop file for them to divide up, and then write an email explaining things that the offer doesn't go over. My email is pretty long, and I've gotten many compliments over the years for it because I go over things like, I'm here to work with you, not against you. We're cooperating agents, and we both want to get this to the settlement table. So, although my offer has inspections that it needs, like the wood destroying insect report, we aren't wanting this to go back on the market. We want the same thing as you. My client wants to own the home. So we're going to work through things till closing. I've also explained that, the lender is great. They've already ran them through the underwriting process. So we're not going to have any surprises down the line that they're not going to be able to get the loan. Some lenders do that like quick pre-approval where they snapshot what they make and they're like, yeah, you're probably good for that. Um, but it's not real, right? So I make sure that my lenders, even if they're using one that typically does that, I'll call them up and say, no, I want you to run all the income, all the things, and I want you to see everything full picture. And then I'm very open with that. I've tagged the lender in my offer emails and say, look, they're tagged right here. They're copied on the email. So if you have any questions about the pre-approval or how confident the lender is in this, you can ask them questions and I'll give them their number. Just like anything that I can explain that isn't explained in words in the offer, right? And I think that that makes a big deal because they're able to go over that with their seller and say, hey, look, they took the time to break all this down and show you what they really mean by this. It's not a love letter because you're not talking about how this family would love to raise their kids there, but instead you're saying, look, this is all the things we've done to make this a strong offer that you can't just see by looking at paper. And things like all those questions I had said about before that you're asking that listing agent, You bring them back up in here. As per our conversation, we made the settlement date this so that your seller had the date that they wanted. I made sure to include the CBC where the commission can be found and it's already signed so that you got everything you need. Um, all those things that you've asked about are there.
Transfer tax is another one too.
hmm if they can afford
If
it. They only
can,
have
I
the
was thinking
3%.
if they can.
Yeah. Probably not in this scenario.
Right.
We'll head to our next scenario. I'm waiting for until the rates come down. How do you respond?
You could be waiting a long time.
Yeah.
They've been promising us that for a year and a half. And I love how confident they are every time, right? It's like, oh yeah, we've seen some things in the news that suggest that the rates will come down within the next month or two. They got that new person in there working that, and it should come down now. I'm still waiting.
Rates are pretty good right now.
They
I mean,
are.
I bought my house 25 years ago, and I was almost 10%. So
You can show the history of what they were. The only time that like was during COVID. I think everyone goes back to COVID when how well it was during COVID.
Yeah.
But you can show them even
if you're
before
looking for them to
COVID.
be, sorry,
No, you're good.
if you're looking for them to be under 4% again, they're probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really want to relive COVID in order to get rates that low.
No.
Like, I mean, that was an insane time. That was like the only positive thing about COVID time. And you can talk about that too. Be like, do you really want to go through a global crisis in order to get the rates to come down that low?
You could also show them like a timeline of rates and show them how much of an anomaly that was.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's definitely more times in history that it's been above 7 than it's been below 4. That's for sure. And we are sitting pretty consistent for like the last couple years. We've been between like 5 and 7. No matter what the fluctuation is, it's been pretty consistent. All right. The next one, the seller. I want to list for 50,000 more because my neighbors have theirs listed for that.
Your neighbor's house is not your house, so I can't say that your house is worth 50,000 more.
Have you been inside your neighbor's house to see if they've done any updates?
My favorite one. Listen, Linda, it's also been sitting on the market for 35 days. Do you want yours to sit on the market for 35 days? I'm here to sell it in 2 weeks. Like, let's go. All right, here's a good one. The listing agent. My seller will not do repairs. The inspection found mold in the basement, missing GFCI outlets, and the HVAC is at the end of its life, but your buyer still loves the home. How do you negotiate?
Wouldn't we ask for seller's assist or like the price to come down since we're not willing to put money into the
So in this one, that example, dropping the price is only going to drop their mortgage a little bit, right? If you drop it $10,000 to cover this, their mortgage payment's only going to decrease a little bit. So if they don't have a ton of money up front, I'd definitely be pushing for seller's assistance. Now, the issue is if you've already maxed out your seller's assistance, right? Like on a conventional loan, you're only allowed 3% typically. There are a couple lenders who are different, but as a whole. And then on the government-backed ones, you're only allowed 6%. 6% is definitely the highest. You can't go over that. So if you've maxed that out, another thing that can be done, and I'm going to word this correctly because Justin's going to love me. It's not an escrow. However, if you have exact bills on how much this is going to cost, you can have it paid directly out of the proceeds to the person who's doing the work so that it's done. Now it takes homework because we don't like escrows. Justin hates them. I will never go on record saying we should escrow. But like I've had this happen with a roof where the roof needed replaced. We had the roofing company come out and give an exact quote on how much it was going to cost. That check got written right as settlement out of the proceeds and sent over to the roofing company. And the roofing company came out the next week and put the new roof on. So that's an option.
Septic.
Yes, that is what they're doing with the septic that I have under contract right now. So it works better than an escrow. Nobody wants escrow money. It's tricky. It's a risk. It's risky. That's the word I was looking for. But negotiating isn't about winning. Your client should feel heard, protected, educated, and confident. And the other side should feel respected, listened to, and comfortable saying yes. Anytime you're negotiating, you have to imagine that the first round isn't going to be the winning round. If it is, you're lucky. You've got to aim for the middle ground, right? And compromise. There's somewhere in the middle. Like buyers, we talk about even with listing, like with offer prices. Buyers want a deal and listers want the most for their house. But somewhere in the middle is the fair market value, right? And that's very true. That's why you can overprice. Well, you can overprice, but you can't underprice a house because everybody drives it up, right? It's the same thing in any part of that negotiations, is that the compromise is somewhere in the middle. And you guys have to work together and be heard, protected, educated, respectful, so that when it comes down to that final yes, everyone feels good about it. Everyone feels like they win. So the final challenge for you is before your next negotiation, ask yourself, what does my client actually need? What does the other side actually need? What problem am I solving? What leverage do I have besides price? And am I reacting or strategizing? Because great negotiators don't create pressure, they create possibilities. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. What do you guys think? So quiet over there. I killed everybody. I bored you all to death.
I, I like it. I think having some more role play would be helpful just because trying to think of all of these things off the top of your head if you haven't done it before is a little tricky.
Mm-hmm. And I think role playing is great if we can get a group of us together and more like workshop that rather than on Power Hour. Mike froze. But I mean, I think like maybe we can plan a Hanover day. Is Hanover far from you, Mike?
I'm in Beltsville, Maryland, so I'm right by University of Maryland.
I have no idea where that is.
He's far, far away. He's far
Oh,
away.
Yeah,
He's
got
far
it.
away.
Oh,
yeah.
well, maybe we'll just have to road trip to see you. But we can definitely like set up some workshop days at different locations and then just run scenarios by each other. We've done them before, and it's always fun to get a group of us together.
I have something to request, Brittany.
Yeah.
I've been quiet, but I've been listening. I love all the Brittany isms that you said.
Oh,
You
geez.
understand what I'm saying? Like all of the way you worded things is actually very helpful for me to keep in the back of my brain. Like how to handle all the scenarios. It's like this versus this. That would be really cool to put in the group chat.
I'll have to figure out how to word that. But the good news is all these are recorded now. So They are available on the YouTube channel, so you can go back and listen to me ramble at any point. But yeah, so all right, well, I'm going to stop recording.